what I used to do, in order to actually get like on like the dark web, you needed a Bitcoin ATM.
We go from 0 to 60 locations. I collected $1 million within 5 weeks, bro.
Yeah, it's hard.
People were calling me stupid. My girl was just like, hey, what is this? It all started with one investment. It was so simple.
Man, you just bought $1 million car.
Dude, you saw that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
3,000 machines.
Damn.
Completely passive.
Yeah.
It's completely passive.
Yeah. I used to look like, what is this? But I never knew what it was for.
Bro, imagine if you have just a few of those.
And what do those cost? Like, how do you get it? How do you get those? I really want to get into the Bitcoin machine.
Here's the concept. We want to team up with you. $190 million.
I have a background. It would be impossible to do that, right?
What your background's about.
It was like, I think 200 million.
You know, I never thought I was going to be a cop, man.
Yeah, fresh at the gym. I might flex on the gram. Yeah, my Louis, my boots. Yeah. This evening on 10.
Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be interviewing Paul Alex, the 8-figure entrepreneur, former detective, man. Welcome to the show, bro.
What's up, Kevin? How you doing, man?
Pretty good, bro. So, man, let's talk about, you know, I see you a lot on Instagram. I see you a lot on social media, and I see you going crazy. I'm like, man, I got to get him on the show. I see that, I didn't even know, like, that you were a cop, to be honest. I'm like, bro, a cop? But I was just like, you know, people probably going to look at it weird, but I'm just like, man, I see you making millions of dollars. Like, I'm kind of surprised. Like, you know, I don't see cops like go from, you know, being a cop to making millions of dollars. So
yeah, man,
tell us the secret.
It's a unique story, you know, and you know, I always see your stuff too, man. I was like, man, how's this guy doing it online? You know, it's just it's crazy how life works. Yeah. But essentially, what basically made me financially free was ATMs, man. ATMs, automated teller machines. Yeah. And ATMs, everybody knows about ATMs. It's a very simple black and white business. Right. The way I got into it, man, it was my 5th, 6th year in law enforcement. I just came back from a narcotics task force where, you know, I was doing all that cool stuff, the undercover, you know, arresting cartel, seizing kilos of coke, all that craziness that you would probably see like a Narcos on Netflix. Yeah. And I went back to Special Victims Unit. So when I went back to that unit, like, I don't know, things just changed for me, man. I used to be so fulfilled to do law enforcement, but I needed like a new adrenaline rush. So I was just like, man, you know, I want to try like entrepreneurship. Yeah. So I needed to do something that can be a secondary source of income. Something that wouldn't take all my time, man. And ATMs was super black and white. Right. One of my coworkers actually introduced me to ATMs, but he got stuck on analysis paralysis. So meaning like he never got started on it, but he'd been researching it for years. And he was like, bro, this is such a great business concept. But I would ask him like, hey man, how come you haven't started it? He's like, well, you know, it's that first step, man. You know, I'm just trying to get over that fear. With me, I'm gung ho, bro. Right. Like, I'm a straight shooter. Like if I think it's a good idea, I'm going to go for it. And you only have one life to live. You know, we're only getting older, bro. Yeah. So I went for it. Within my first 2 weeks, landed about 6 locations for the ATMs. Ended up teaming up with a large manufacturer who hooked me up on pricing. And then by my 3rd month, hit about 3,000 in residuals. And this is from my 9 to 5. And my 9 to 5, just to give you guys a bird's eye view of what it looked like, right. I was working anywhere between 60 to 100-hour work weeks, bro. Damn. Like, that's a lot. I didn't see my girl at that time that I was with for 7 years. I didn't see my family. My parents were getting older. They were getting sick because I would work so much to cover their bills. Right. Essentially, like my dream at that moment was to retire my parents. That's the American dream. Yeah, that is. And for me, I thought making $250,000 as a cop was financial freedom, but realistically, I was a prisoner to the job. Right. So making that $3,000 for 2 hours of work a month, it opened my eyes. It opened my eyes to like what's more in this world. And from there, man, 18 months later, 30 ATMs later, $15,000 in residual a month, got into digital marketing after that to show like the world basically what's possible, especially because I'm a 9 to 5er. I'm a blue collar guy, man. I'm just a regular dude. Yeah. And I was able to escape my 9 to 5 and then build a multi-million-dollar business online, showing people exactly what I did to become financial free. And now we're here, man.
Yeah, that's wild. So like, as far as the ATMs, whose like money is actually like getting used in the ATMs? Is it the bank ATM? I mean, or is it like our money that's getting used in the ATMs? Or
That's a great question, man. So one of the biggest, I guess you could say, misunderstandings with the ATM is that the banks own them. When people initially came to me and they were asking like, hey man, like, do the bank own the ATMs or do you? I was like, actually, it's ATM independent deployers that do. And that's the jargon in the ATM industry for us, right? We are basically private dealers. Think about it like that. We are the brokers. So essentially, we own the asset, what I like to call ATMs floating assets. The reason why is because if your ATM doesn't work in one location, you can always move it. So you're never losing money. Think about that, man. Yeah. What if you only get 20 transactions in one location? You barely make a couple $100. Just move it to another location, and guess what? You're making hundreds of transactions. You're making hundreds or thousands of dollars a month off of 1, 2, 3, and it's easily scalable for anyone that has a 9-to-5. And that's why I love this business. But to get back to your question, it's essentially our money that goes inside of the machine. The way it works is you deal with a processing network. This processing network, think about like your phone, like your iPhone.
Yeah.
You have to use Verizon or AT&T, right?
Yeah.
So when you use Verizon or AT&T, they provide the network in order for the communication to actually happen when you're using the phone. It's the exact same thing with the ATM. The ATM uses a processing network that facilitates the transactions between the actual consumer who pulls out the money and then the banking network and your business checking account. So you're able to connect or team up with a processing network. Give you a great example. One of the best processing networks that I use, and there's no bias here, man, they are the best for rookies, is Switch Commerce. And Switch Commerce, they provide you the network so that you're able to go ahead and do as many transactions as you want with as many ATMs as possible. So let's say, for example, you have $1,000. You have it in your savings account. In a year, how much money are you going to make off the interest?
to be honest, not too much of nothing, right?
Exactly. You're barely going to make anything, man. You're not going to make anything off of the interest when you put your cash in a savings account. So take that $1,000. Imagine this. If you're able to buy an ATM for around $2,300, you put the $1,000 in there and you're recycling the money. Every time you recycle the money, let's say you make $30, okay? Let's say if you recycle that $1,000 about 10 times in there, you just made $300. But here's the thing that a lot of people don't get. A lot of people might think $200-$300 off of a machine a month, that's not worth it. That's not worth it. You know, if I was to tell you, oh, you can make $200 to $300 off of the ATM a month, most people are going to be skeptical. They're going to be like, dude, that's not worth it. That's not worth the headache, right? But here's the thing. There's a difference between passive income and active income. What if you have 10 machines
20
doing,
machines, yeah, 30, yeah.
Yeah, 10 machines doing $300 a month in profit. That's $3,000.
Yeah.
That's as much as what people are making right now here in Miami, Florida.
For
you
sure.
know? So at the end of the day, it can completely change the life for someone. Here's the thing, and I always tell people this. ATMs is not what made me a multimillionaire, okay? ATMs allowed me to become financially free. It allowed me to work less overtime. So that 60 to 100-hour work weeks that I used to work as a detective, it got reduced to 40-hour a work week. And then I had all that time left to scale my side hustle. Once I was able to scale my side hustle, guess what? My bills at that time, back in, I'm going to say 2018, 2019, was around $6,500. I owned $1 million home in one of the best neighborhoods in the Bay Area in California. I was driving a $100,000 Porsche Panamera. For a cop, dude, people thought I was selling drugs.
Damn,
Straight up.
Yeah.
My coworkers, my commanders, my supervisors, they were like, bro, what are you dealing? Like, seriously.
Right.
And I was just like, nothing. I have a side business. But see, that's the thing. People want you to do good, but they don't want you to do better than them.
Right.
And that's just the way it goes, man. That's life, you know? And it comes with family, it comes with friends, it comes with associates. People are just comfortable, bro. Yeah. With me, I never got accustomed to conforming to being comfortable. I always had supporting beliefs to push the limit. You know, just like the song, push it to the limit, man.
Exactly.
It's all about that, right?
Yeah.
So with ATMs, it's a very simple concept, and this is a way that anyone can start, okay? You can set up your LLC. The fastest way to set up an LLC would be to go to a website like InkFile. You can go to any state website as well, but success loves speed, brother.
Yeah.
So I always tell people InkFile, and the reason why is because you could pay an additional $50 to $150 to expedite the paperwork. So you're able to get your LLC within 5 days. That's number one, okay? Number two, you need to get a business bank account. Now, this is actually very hard in 2023. And the reason why is because the history between ATM deployers and the banking system is that the bank doesn't like ATM deployers. We're their competition. You know, we're lending people money, but we're getting paid, not the bank. And how does the bank get paid, Kevin? They get paid by interest, right?
Right.
So imagine if you put $50,000 inside of the bank account, they're going to lend it to me and they're going to charge me what? 8%? And who's making the money? They are. If you were to go to the bank right now and say, hey, I want to take out my $50,000 right now, they're going to tell you no.
Give me a hard time.
Exactly. What's the max you've taken out, man, without calling ahead?
The max, probably like, they give me problems with sometimes taking out 10,000.
Exactly.
If it just depends on the teller as well too. I mean, sometimes if I say anything like 40s, 50s, 60s, they like, oh, you have to give us this many days and stuff like that. So
exactly. And it's because they're leveraging your money. You know, so they're buying time in order to get it back or to borrow it from other people in the banking system. That's their business concept, right? So with that being said, instead of leaving your money in the bank, we're having it work for us through our own banking system, the ATM. I like to call it infinity banking. Why? Because we're using the same concept as $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, which I recommend people to put $2,000 to $3,000 inside their ATM to start, and you're recycling the money. It sounds illegal, but it's not illegal.
Wow.
It's actually a legitimate business that people have been doing for more than a decade. And when I entered into the space, as a young buck. Majority of ATM deployers that started from the beginning, they're like in their 40s and 50s, and they're very secretive. They don't want anybody to know this concept because they're making the money. They have the best locations. See, so what ends up happening is you get somebody who's younger, faster, and is ready to take action. So guess what? If we're able to build value, we're able to build foundation, you're able to educate the merchants, you're able to educate the business owners and say, hey, this is the reason why my ATM is better than that person. You're going to win.
Right.
And that's how I was able to go into the market. There's nothing special about me. It was just that I was able to go in there with fresh ideas. I was more customer oriented as well. So I was able to get locations from a lot of people.
Exactly.
So to go back to the business bank account, man, because this is the hardest part that stops about 90% of newcomers and somebody who's completely green entering the ATM business, is the fact that they get denied at the banks. So if I was new, okay, or let's say, Kevin, if you wanted to start a ATM business and you were looking to open a business bank account, you had your LLC, you have your identification, the only document you would need left is what is called an ATM processing agreement. The ATM processing agreement is what you get from the actual ATM processing company, which is also called an ISO. The ISO is an independent sales organization. This is the actual company that is responsible to provide you the processing network, like we were talking about earlier, the network that makes your ATM work. So it's an agreement, a written agreement between you and them. This is how the banks know that you're legitimate. Also, here's a gem, brother.
Yeah.
This is what I tell everybody. This is what I tell all my clients. This is what I tell all my mentees. This is what I still use to this day. This one-liner. You go to the bank, you go to the bank manager, and you tell them this. I want to open a business checking account to collect my commissions from my ATM. That's it. Super simple. Most people like to complicate and say, well, I got an ATM. I want to place it at this location. It's going to get me money by using my money, because they don't know how to articulate it. And when you don't know how to articulate it or keep it simple, then what ends up happening is people get confused. They get confused and they're like, no, deny. Like, it's a scam. Right? Yeah. So I always tell people, use that one-liner. You're going to get approved. One thing to do is also due diligence. So go on Yelp, go on Google, create a list of all the credit unions, smaller banks around your area, no matter where you're at, whether it's California, New York, or Florida, and then call them one by one. Don't go there in person. Just call them. Let them know exactly that one-liner. I want to open a business checking account to collect my commissions from my ATM. They're going to say either yes or no. If they say no, who cares?
Right.
If they say yes, phenomenal, right?
Right.
So at the end of the day, that's how you'll be able to get a business bank account for your ATM business. So you have your LLC, you have your business bank account, and now you need to find a ISO, independent sales organization, that's going to allow you to buy an ATM from them, and then also provide you the network.
Is that hard to do?
It's not hard to do, but like anything else, you have to get bids, right?
Yes,
like you just bought a phenomenal Lamborghini recently, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, unless you already knew an auto body shop to add like a custom exhaust to it, you would go and search and ask around, hey, who's the best?
Oh, okay.
You get what I'm saying? So you have to ask who's the best when it comes to providing the level of customer service that you want, the support that you want, especially when you're brand new, man.
For sure.
When I was brand new, I'm not gonna lie, I'm hard-headed. I'm a Capricorn. So I went with the biggest and what I thought was the best ATM distribution company out there in the United States. But realistically, they take advantage of people. And I can't name drop because I don't want to get sued. But they were one of the biggest at the time. And I signed a 3-year contract with them where they were taking roughly 30% of my profits every transaction, brother. Okay?
Yeah.
So one gem that I always tell people, especially if you're watching this right now on Kevin's show, okay, is that number one, you're keeping 100% of your surcharge profits. Number two, never sign a contract, especially for the processing network. This should come for free for you. And then you should keep 100% of your surcharge profits. The actual processing network, the ISO, they get paid from the banks. They get paid a fee called interchange. The interchange fee is a couple cents per transaction, but see, they're not worried about that. And the reason why they're not worried about that is because they know they're gonna get paid regardless, right? So it's passive income for them. And not only is it gonna be you, but it's gonna be thousands of people that they have under their umbrella. So when you have thousands of people, even if it's a few cents, man, you're making tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars on a monthly basis as a company, right?
Right.
One of the best ATMs that I would recommend people to get is called a Hyusun Halo 2. It's the one that I live by. It's industry standard, comes with 2-year warranty. And one key thing that I always tell folks, especially everybody that's watching this right now, is that when you're new, buy new, right?
Right.
When you're new, buy new, man. You don't need the headaches of dealing with the tech, the installation, all that jazz. When you buy new, especially from a good company that's gonna help you out, they're going to train you on how to program, how to install the machine, and you're going to be able to do it on your own. Or you can outsource a third-party service to actually install the machine for you. The biggest biggest headache that I always see everybody having a hard time with, locations.
Yeah,
locations
everywhere you go.
Yeah, locations. Everybody's like, man, it's saturated market, all that stuff. Like I can't compete and all that. It doesn't come down to the market being saturated. What it comes down to your mindset. Because like I said, take my example. I'm no one special, but I did have the mindset to go out there and actually properly educate, build value, and set the foundation with my current clients and prospects at that time, where they decided to make a decision and then transfer their account to me. Why? Because they trust me, they like me, and people buy who they like, right?
For sure.
Yeah, that's why everybody has an audience. That's why digital marketing nowadays, the online space, the internet, you see a wealth of knowledge. There's so many people that are making money nowadays, and you could go into different industries, but you got to make sure that it's right for you. Whatever it is that you go to. People always ask me, well, Paul, I have $50,000 to invest in ATMs. The first thing I say, Kevin, on all transparency, is slow down. Try just one. Get your feet wet.
Test it out. See how you like it.
Yeah, test it out, man. You know, it's like testing a car, right?
Yeah.
You're going to test it out. You're going to test out the different models and all that jazz. And then you're going to make a decision whether you want to scale it, right? So exact same concept. But with ATMs overall, the average that people can make off of one machine is about $200 to $1,000. Some of my top tier accounts, which was in dispensaries back in California, I was making around $1,500 a month residual passive income, bro. And this is with 2 employees. I had 1 employee load up all the cash on all my ATMs, and then I had a tech who was on call who was taking care of the maintenance. So with me, it was completely 100% passive once I passed that threshold of 10 ATMs. I tell people in the very beginning, don't try to outsource everything when you first start. And the reason why, it's gonna eat up your margins. It's gonna eat your profitability. You wanna do everything yourself in the very beginning. And in the very beginning, it only takes a couple hours, man. You know, how many other sources of income do you know can be as passive as an hour or 2 a month, and it can make you either a couple $100 to thousands of dollars?
Yeah, for sure.
Even in real estate, think about that. How much can we get a real, like let's say a duplex here in Miami?
They gonna tax us.
Yeah,
It's high.
yeah. They're gonna get us for a lot, right?
Yeah, way more than like Texas or like Indiana or you know what I mean.
Exactly. That's why people are buying a crap load of real estate properties in Texas, because that's the area where it's really good to buy. But here in Florida, let's say if you have an investor here in Florida and they wanted to buy in Miami, right? Come on, a duplex, easily over $1 million.
Yeah, way,
easily. No, way over, right?
Way over.
And that's if you don't have to remodel it and rehab it and all that jazz, right?
Yep.
But think about it like this. So let's say you have to put 20% down. That's $200,000. Okay, $200,000. And let's say the duplex, okay, for example, you could get 2 apartments out of it. And let's say how much is rent right now for a 1-bedroom?
In Miami, probably about 2,800.
2,800. So let's say you get close to about $5,000 right now. $5,000 in rent, and that's gross profit, right? Now you got to pay the management companies, usually 10, 15%, right? And then you got to pay the upkeep. You got to keep reserves. By the time that you've invested that $200K, realistically, you're probably making around $2,000, $2,500. That's $200K. How many people have $200K nowadays? Not many.
Sure.
Not many. What I heard recently is that 70% of people in the United States barely have $10,000 in their bank account. So here's the thing. ATMs, it is low barrier, beginner friendly, low risk business to actually build residual income while you have your main source. That's why I loved it. That's why it made me financially free, because I saw that vision. And that's what I always tell people. But I ended up transitioning to Bitcoin ATMs as well.
Yeah, for sure. I was finna ask you about how you feel about the Bitcoin going up right now.
Dude, you saw that?
Yeah. I'm happy.
It just went up to 35,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
I feel like it's finna be a crazy bull run. I feel like it's finna really turn up.
Oh, well, it's coming.
Yeah,
it's coming because right now, if prices are increasing, you know, you got BlackRock, which is one of the biggest investment companies out there investing into it. Bro,
it's over with.
I'm just saying, the bull run's gonna be good. And guess what? The people that are actually invested into Bitcoin ATMs, they're gonna make so much money.
They sure is.
And I know you've been on Fresh and Fit, the podcast with Myron and Fresh.
Yeah.
But I was just on there last week with one of my operation consultants, Get 'em. And we were talking about Myron's Bitcoin ATM. The guy made $6,000 in the range of 4 to 5 months. He's an avid real estate investor, man. So he was just like, bro, the return on investment on this compared to real estate, it does not compare. And that's the thing when it comes down to, like, I never believed in crypto in the beginning. Like back in, I'm going to say 2018, when I was building up this whole ATM venture, I remember one of my buddies was like, we were in Egypt. I still remember this, man. We were in Egypt, riding the camel, looking at the pyramids. And he's just like, hey, bro, did you invest in Bitcoin? It's like at a really great price right now. And I was just like, man, forget your Bitcoin, bro. I was like, I'm up by my ATMs. That's why I'm on this trip, because it's paying for my trip. And he's like, dude, I'm telling you, he became a millionaire off of it. He became, a lot of people did. And dude, a few years later, now I'm one of the distributors for Bitcoin ATMs, you know? One of the largest Bitcoin ATM suppliers out here is called Bitcoin Depot. They're out of Atlanta, Georgia. These guys have over 3,000 machines. The CEO, just stated a few months ago that each one of their BTMs, their Bitcoin ATMs, makes roughly on average $7,000 a month.
Damn.
Bro, imagine if you have just a few of those.
And what do those cost? Like, how do you get it? How do you get those? Like, where?
So those roughly cost about $20,000 to $30,000. Okay. So a little bit higher than ATMs, of course. But at the end of the day, you got to look at it like this. It's completely passive.
Yeah.
It's completely passive.
Yeah.
If you compare it to real estate, and let's say in real estate, like I said, minimum, you want a duplex out here in Miami, or whether if you want it in Texas, you're still going to drop $20,000, $30,000, $50,000. You got to really look at your return on investment. How much are you going to make off of that? In Texas, you're probably going to make $500. And it's not 100% passive. So imagine you invest the same money into a Bitcoin ATM and you have a management company, fills it up. You don't got to fill your crypto because the company fills it up for you. You're winning all day because you're making your money work for you, bro.
Wow. And you know what's crazy about it? I used to see those Bitcoin ATMs in Chicago. Like this was about 2013, 2014. Mm-hmm. And I used to.
So back when I started.
Yeah. And I used to look like, what is this? But in order, like what I used to do, in order to actually get like on like the dark web or something like that, you needed a Bitcoin ATM. So
yeah.
It's crazy, right? So it's so smart. Whoever had their Bitcoin ATM at the time, because we just didn't know where a Bitcoin ATM was located.
Yeah,
you actually had to Google it.
Yeah.
So if they were smart enough to put their Bitcoin ATM on Google, and we knew where to go to load up. And actually, because in order to get on the dark web, you clearly need Bitcoin. So I was just like, damn, but I never knew what it was for, properly. Yeah. But that's crazy when I started getting into reading more about it. I'm like, oh, okay, you could buy crypto. And I'm like, what's crypto? And what's this? What's that? I didn't even realize that Bitcoin was like crypto. I thought it was just something to get on websites, weird websites and stuff like that. And I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. But it just taught me it's smart to get into that because everybody needs that right now to buy crypto right now. You feel me?
I'm telling you, if people are investing into stocks, you need to double down on crypto. You need to double down on Bitcoin. Look, Ferrari just started accepting Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
A lot of companies are. A lot
of companies are. So if a lot of companies are already transitioning into what's going to be the modern day digital currency, right? And I always get a lot of people that are skeptical about also ATMs and the Bitcoin ATMs. And the reason why I say this is because they think that Bitcoin is going to replace cash. And that's a big misunderstanding. I always tell people, because cash is never going to go away.
Right.
The reason why I say cash is never going to go away is because there's a certain section of the population that is what we call unbankable. Meaning that they can't access bank accounts, man. This is why back in the day, and I'm probably dating myself, man, as an old school millennial. You remember when Fat Farm came out with the charge card?
Yeah, the charge card.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why did they come out with that? Because that was to target an avatar where essentially they were the unbankable audience.
Exactly.
The people that couldn't get bank accounts. So they had to go and preload the card, get charged high interest to use it, just like a debit card, when you could go to a bank and get it for free. A lot of people don't understand that because it's only a small percentage of the United States, roughly around 25% of the United States. A combination of people because of financial history, criminal history, immigration status, and et cetera, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, there is a market for it. So ATMs do have a market for it. Bitcoin ATMs does have a market. The way, and I love the fact that what you just said, bro, because that's what I was going to go right into. Who uses BTMs, Bitcoin ATMs? Well, back in the day, yes. There was a huge issue with illegal activity, right?
Exactly.
People were using crypto because it wasn't traceable. This is how they were able to buy drugs. They were able to buy guns. They were able to do all this stuff in the dark web, right? And I remember when I was a detective, they actually trained me up on the dark web, how to do investigations in the dark web. It was very interesting stuff, man.
Wow.
Oh, dude, yeah. You could take a class as a detective if you're good.
Yeah.
Where they would connect you with the CIA.
Yeah.
And then the CIA, it's a long, extensive class, and it's multiple classes you have to go to. But by the end of the class, you are certified to use a supercomputer, like a super laptop that comes from them. They ship it to you, and then you're assigned to do these special cases throughout the dark web. You're the guy in your department, and they would pick one detective out of every department. But that was a class that I went to for the intro class, just to, they told us about it. And they're like, if anyone's interested, you guys can sign up, because you got to sign up for it and test for it to see if you qualify.
Right.
I never signed up for it. I wasn't really into it like that.
Yeah.
I wasn't on social media for 8 years.
Right. So let me ask you something. So a person was on like at the time, because I was on there and I used to hear like, well, if you get a VPN and you do this and do that, is that really true? Or because I'm sure it's not that just easy to just get a VPN. I'm pretty sure that y'all could still see all that stuff that's going on the dark web, right?
Yeah, typically is
like transactions and stuff like that.
If the person's big enough. That's the thing, you got to look at it. And, not to go deep into the investigations of, law enforcement and all that jazz, but typically law enforcement won't look at you unless you're moving what I like to say weight.
So, so basically like it's more of the people that's on the store sellers on there versus the buyer, people that's buying.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, because I used to be thinking like, damn, this store seller dude, he got a lot of good reviews. He got to be making millions of dollars. I used to think that.
You remember the big case that happened actually out of California? It was with a big narcotic dealer in the dark web. It was he was called Silk Road. You remember that one?
I think so.
Yeah, but it was huge. You know where they caught him?
Where?
They caught him in a coffee shop in San Francisco, bro.
What?
He was using the Wi-Fi coffee shop and then a VPN to hide it. But see, that's the thing. It's like you got to be big enough in order for them to hit you like that.
So he was using a VPN out of state or in state?
I'm not sure. I didn't go that deep into that investigation.
That's crazy.
But I remember when he went down, and I was just reading up on it. I was just like, wow, like this is crazy. And the guy was just moving millions a week, in narcotics and all that.
No, that Bitcoin.
But
I'm getting one.
But
for sure.
But to go back to your question, man. So the way we market the Bitcoins now, okay? We market the BTMs through Google. So not only do we have a dedicated marketing team that actually directs your location, your BTM. So let's say, for example, if we were to do business, you bought a BTM. Yeah. What we would do is you would put our marketing team on a retainer. Typically, the retainer is around $150 to $500 a month, depending on how many ad spend, just like Facebook ads.
Okay.
So you're running traffic to your location. So anytime that someone types in crypto, Bitcoin on Google, guess what? And they're in Florida. Boom!
My machine pop up.
Your machine pops up. It's exactly like using Yelp. It's exactly like using Google Maps. At the end of the day, it's a very, you could say, tech savvy type of startup deal at a very low cost. Because when you think about it, when you think about a tech startup, any tech startup, dude, you're talking about angel investors, you're talking about big money, 6 figures to a startup, 7 figures to a startup. But we're actually one of the only companies that we got affiliated with a Bitcoin manufacturer that we're able to offer it to any investor. We're able to offer it to any investor. As long as you pass a background check with us, you're ready to rock, right? With that being said, okay, a lot of the companies, to go back to, when you were talking about, the dark web and all that stuff, a lot of companies got hit. A lot of companies got hit by the feds. The
Bitcoin company?
Yeah, a lot of them, man, because the United States regulates Bitcoin ATMs so heavily now that they do due diligence. So let's say, for example, if you were to go into buying a Bitcoin ATM right now, okay, and you wanted to buy, let's say, $30,000 worth of Bitcoin, okay, you would do the transaction, super simple. You would bring your cash, you would deposit it into the Bitcoin ATM, and then you would get a due diligence phone call from our verification team, support team, and they would be like, hey, can you verify your account? Can you verify, due diligence, just your background, all that jazz, to make sure that the transaction's legitimate.
Make sure the transactions are legitimate?
Yeah, that's the way they run it now. And they've been running it for a few years now.
So for instance, how can we know if the transactions are legitimate?
So that's actually through our network. That's through our support team. Oh, okay. So at the end of the day, you have to know whose crypto wallet you're putting the money into, because they're going to ask you. And if you don't know, it gets denied. So at the end of the day, it's about due diligence on the Bitcoin ATM company side, because it's very critical. They have an auditor, they have regulations. If anybody wanted to start a Bitcoin venture on their own without, let's say, a third-party service like us, who I'm affiliated with, it would cost somebody literally $300,000 or more just to get the paperwork started, just to get an auditor, just to get everything legitimate in their state. Damn. We have all of the United States, man. So just imagine that. We put a lot of money into this. We did our due diligence to make sure that it's a sustainable business for any investor coming into that wants 100% passive Bitcoin ATM venture. So that's the pretty cool part about it. But it's interesting, right?
Yeah. It's deep. I didn't know it was that deep.
Dude, it's deep, man. I could talk hours about this.
Yeah.
But so the Bitcoin ATM venture, that's going extremely well. I started with 3 Bitcoin ATMs. I placed them in different locations. I placed them in 2 liquor stores and then 1 cell phone repair place in San Diego.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Each one of those locations averages about $1,500 a month.
Damn.
So that's $4,500 that while I'm here in Florida, guess what?
Extra. Yeah.
That's extra, man. That's paying my utilities. That's paying my insurance for my cars, you know?
Right.
At the end of the day, you know, you're making your money work for you.
Sure.
And I have the entire management team run it, just like we had the management team run it for Myron's BTM, you know? Mm-hmm. And when we went on the show, you know, full transparency, you know, anyone could go check out the Fresh and Fit episode. Just type in like Paul Alex.
Yep.
And you'll see the last episode on there. Full transparency, we show the transactions. Some months were better than others, but that's just the way it goes. It all depends on Google Ads. You know this.
Yeah.
Just like if you run ads to a YouTube channel, just like if you run ads to anything, man, you have to put money to make money. Mm-hmm. So after the whole ATM venture, man, after the whole Bitcoin ATM venture, I actually got into credit card machines.
Oh, yeah.
Funny enough.
So like as far as like what merchants, credit card machines, like it's
so merchant services, specifically, it's a specific program that only 4% of merchants across the United States use, and it's called the cash discount program. The cash discount program is a very special program. Let's say, for example, if you owned a liquor store, okay? The average liquor store back when I was in California does around $200,000 in revenue, all right? Well, let's say, for example, if I was to go and be like, hey, Kevin, currently right now, how much are you paying in merchant services? You're going to be like, hey, Paul, well, I'm paying roughly around $1,500 to allow people to use credit cards in my business to buy alcohol.
Right.
Okay. What if I was to tell you I could wipe all the fees? You don't ever have to pay the credit card processing fees. You're going to think, number one, it's a scam. Number two,
sure.
you're going to be like, well, what's going on here? I don't believe you. And all that stuff. So it all comes down to what I was saying in the beginning: education, value, and foundation, right? Get to know the person, follow up, and then end up, you know, making a deal. But the way a cash discount program works is we wipe out all the fees for the business owner and we reverse it. So instead of the business owner paying the fee for every individual customer, the customer pays their own fee. In exchange, they're not forced to pay the fee. They get an option to use cash. If they use cash, or if they don't have cash, guess what happens?
What?
They use an ATM.
For sure.
And you're double dipping now, right?
Yeah. Smart.
Hey, man. Strategy, baby.
Hey.
That's what it is.
Smart.
So they use the ATM. You still get your fee off of that. And now they're using cash. Yeah, you're not going to get paid off of that, but they use your ATM. So either way it goes, you're winning.
Right.
And it's such a winning combination because my clients that were ATM together clients initially became merchant automation clients. And they're like, dude, we love it because now every client that we have, and I have some clients that have 10, 15 accounts, they go to every single client. They're like, hey, let me get your credit card machine business, their merchant services business, because this is the way we're going to swing things. Either way it goes, it helps the merchant, bro, because you're helping small business owners now make money that they can invest back into their business or help their family.
Right.
So it's a win-win. No one gets shafted here. I know in Miami, you know, at the restaurants, man, you know, and we said this before, you know, restaurants are charging 20%. You know, you go to any of these high, they just charge on it and they'll put a silly, you know, a fee saying, dine-in fee.
Yeah.
Or takeout fee.
Like,
it doesn't matter. It's going to be 20%. People don't even blink an eye.
Yeah.
So typically when we charge the client, it's going to be a very low fee, anywhere between 2.5 to about 4%.
Yeah.
Some clients even charge 8%, man. And the reason why is because you got to think about it like this. The number one objection that we get is, well, Paul, if I start charging the client, aren't my clients going to like disappear? They're not going to come to my business? I'm like, you got to think about it like this. Let's say you're the best jeweler in Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're the number one. You have a certain ideal client that buys jewelry from you, right?
Right.
That they want the best quality jewelry. Do you think they're really going to go somewhere else just because they're paying another 2%? No.
Right.
At the end of the day, some business owners will want to do this concept, some won't. we're not here for everybody. Just like Ferrari, just like Lamborghini, not everybody can afford us. So at the end of the day, we're here for business-minded individuals that want to build a sustainable business with residual income. So the way I did it is I connected in Los Angeles with two guys, Robson and John Sarabia. These guys, they're cool entrepreneurs, man. They've been in the game for 18 years. They've generated since year to date, since they started 15 years ago, about $190 million in merchant services. Bro, they buy STOs for fun, okay? They don't have to work. So they do this for fun. They reached out to me and they were like, dude, we love what you did in the online space for the ATM industry. And you're the go-to guy for ATMs and Bitcoin ATMs online. And I was like, thanks, I appreciate that. They were like, we want to team up with you. Here's the concept. So they explained the cash discount program. I was just like, let's do it. So December of 2022, I launched my own credit card business in San Diego.
Yeah.
We go from 0 to 60 locations. I make $20,000 in residuals net a month. And that's with me not doing anything. How was I able to do that so fast? I leveraged my first company's call centers.
Yeah, it's hard.
So I had 500 leads called a day. We were closing anywhere between 10 to 15 a week like this. Push it to the limit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm about, man.
Yeah.
You take action, you see the vision, you execute. You don't wait.
No, you don't.
So now I had proven concept. I took the proven concept, and in February of 2023, I took the knowledge that I learned from investing in myself, because self-education is key.
No,
you know
sure.
this. We talk about this all the time, brother.
Yeah.
But I took that knowledge and I collected $1 million from clients that wanted to work with me and build their own credit card machine business within 5 weeks, bro. I did a completely new startup online called Merchant Automation. $1 million in 5 weeks by myself. I told my operations consultant, take care of the business. I'm going to go start up this new venture. I'll be back. And that's what I did. Now we're up to $3 million from February of 2023 to now, which is, I believe, October. We're it's almost Halloween. Dude, it's freaking amazing, right?
For sure.
So now we are at triple the actual income that ATM Together did the first year. And ATM Together is a $20 million business.
Wow.
It's insane what can happen in 6 years, okay? This all started with one investment. ATM.
One investment.
It was ATM. It was so simple. People were calling me stupid. My girl was just like, hey, like, what is this? Like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
You're a detective.
Yeah.
Even my mom. My mom right now, she's at my house at the pool. Right? And she's like, yeah, this is nice out here in Miami. First time out here in Miami. And she was talking to me this morning. She was like, son, like, I'm really proud of you. Like, I remember that first time you told me about ATMs, and I didn't take it seriously, because I was just like, you're already making $250,000, which is the most that anyone in my family has ever done.
Right.
So to break the limiting beliefs of not only my mom, but then my friends, the people I'm around, and also change the lives of people around me. That's what it's about, bro.
Yeah. I noticed that a lot of people try to slow your dreams down, you know what I mean? And I'd be like, you got to dream bigger, you know what I mean? Like, they'd be like, oh, like, people just like, man, you just bought $1 million car. Why do you want a boat too? And why do you want a jet too? You know what I mean? And I'm just like, bro, I just study thinking bigger. I know it's somebody got a $200 million yacht. It's somebody that got a $400 million house. You know what I mean? Like, it's so much crazy stuff out here. So I'm just like, man, I want the best. You feel me? So you got to be around people who's willing to try to get you to that level. You got to think big.
I remember you were telling me a story, how you were on a yacht, and it was it like a $20 million yacht or a $200 million yacht?
It was like, I think 200 million.
And you were talking to the guy and how he got there, and now that's what you wanted, right?
Yeah, I basically want to, when I was talking to him, he was just so humble, bro, and he was just like, man, it's not easy, and just,
it's not.
But it took a lot of work, a lot of connections, a lot of like-minded people around, and stuff like that. And I was just like, man, I know I can do it. If I basically was saying to myself, if he can do it, I can do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all the cars, just everything. I always get motivated off people and seeing people like, man, I need to work with this person. Versus being close. A lot of people fail because of distractions. you notice that like strolling on Instagram all day, looking at watching TV all day, or just too much of something that's not going to make you successful. Right. That's why a lot of people don't succeed. But I be always focusing on, yesterday I was just working, the day before I'm working every day. So that's how we get to the next level and make millions and, build up. Like the ATM business, that's a lot of game you gave like today. Like I ain't gonna lie, I learned a lot. I really want to get into the Bitcoin machine thing though. I can't lie.
I got you.
But let me ask you something. So let's say if I want to get into the Bitcoin machine business, right? And I have a background, it would be impossible to do that, right?
So if you have a background, it depends on what your background's about. And I know we don't gotta talk. We can talk about after, but essentially it depends on specifically what your background. What.
So can you open it up in a company's name or just personal?
So it goes back to the person. So
okay,
even if the company, maybe you have a family member or someone else.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, they have to do their due diligence.
And
that's all it is. It's just you have to do a CYA, cover your ass, right? And do it right. And that's the number one thing that I brought from law enforcement. I never thought I was gonna be a cop, man. To be honest, I never thought I was gonna be a cop. But once I became a cop, the first day I wore my uniform, dude, like I nearly cried because you know why? Purpose.
Yeah.
I was at the right time, at the right place, that I needed in my life. I needed to become a leader. And that's what that job forced me to do. Forced me to become a leader.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, if you're missing structure, if you're missing focus, if you're missing purpose, and you're a young person and you don't know what you want to do in life, easy. Go to the military or just go to law enforcement. If you're at age to get in there. It will give you so much life experience that you will not only be better, but you will be a leader. And then after a few years, you could do something like I did, right? I came from corporate America. I was good at sales. I was good at communication. I went into law enforcement. In 2 years, I became a detective. And I became an award-winning detective. But then the last 2 years, towards my 7-year run, I decided, you know what? I want to work for myself.
Right.
Why not, man? And now I've been full-time entrepreneur for 3 years. And I can honestly say that I will never work for anyone ever again.
For sure. Same.
Yeah.
Hey, a lot of free game, man. I appreciate everything, man, you done gave us, man. There was a lot of game. Man, what's your social medias? Tell them your social medias.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So people can catch me actually at atmtogether.com, merchantautomation.com. And then I have 2 Instagrams, Paul Alex and then the Paul Alex.
Okay,
and that's it.
So listen, everything will be in the description. So make sure y'all follow him. Make sure y'all go support, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel. You got a YouTube channel yet?
Not yet.
Man, we got to get you a YouTube channel, bro.
Yeah.
Everything, you just gave so much game, man. I'm pretty sure we'll want to watch this every time and learn new things. You taught me a whole lot, which I'm shocked, from the ATMs to the BTMs to the credit card machines. I'm like, wow, I never knew none of this. So I know y'all never knew none of this. So, man, appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely, Kev. Yeah.